Okay, lecture 4. So, this is a really quick one. It's very quick. So what are you going to do when you're an SLP and you want to see if there's a disorder or a delay or how speech is progressing in typical development? Well, you want to collect speech samples. You want to collect a lot of speech samples over a lot of time, right? So you want as long as you can get with the client. Doesn't have to be a kid. It can be of any age. And you also want multiple sessions. Why, though? Well, long term is so you get multiple instances of each speech sound. And multiple sessions is because you might get someone at the end of their day and they're a little bit tired. So you want to have another session at a different time. Maybe a day that they've had a lot more coffee or a day that you catch them earlier in the day. So you want to see when is this disorder occurring. Is it only when the person is tired? Is it all the time? That can give you a lot of information about how you want to go about fixing the disorder. So if it's only when they're tired and they have the speech sound otherwise, that's kind of an easier time for you. You can just have them focus on those speech sounds a little bit more, make it more habitual. If they have it all the time, you'll have to figure something else out. More data points are always good, right? So you can also look at how often is it pronounced incorrectly, 30% of the time, 40% of the time, 10% of the time, and the more data points you have, the better your average will actually be. I have average height here because more data points is like how tall is the average person, let's say in our class. If we only took, two of us, like let's say I'm 6'1", and we have somebody else, we choose randomly, it just happens to be somebody that's like 5'11". So it would look like the average height in our class is 6 feet tall, which I'm guessing it's not, because that would be a very tall class. So the more data points we have, like say sampling everyone in the class, we get a better idea of what the average height is. Probably something closer around 5'6" or 5'5", something like that. All right. Oh, also we want to look at spontaneous speech samples. Why do we want to look at spontaneous speech samples? Well, because if you've had a chance to read something, you're kind of preparing it. It's not off the cuff. When you're gathering a speech sample, you want it to be off the cuff. You don't want it to be rehearsed. You don't want them to think about it a whole lot. You want them to think about the content, but not the speech. You want to get it how it's actually coming out, how they're usually going to be talking. You want to get an idea of that speech, not rehearsed speech. Okay, that's what we just said. And there's a couple different tests of articulation. When Amy Jensen gives her lecture, she's going to show more of the Golden Fristow test and some other tests as well. But essentially, we have these tests of articulation. It's a single word test because what you're going to have people do is, what's this? It's a house, phone, cup, gun, knife, window, like that. And what you're looking for is the production of each speech sound, how well they do with that speech sound. And in the Goldman-Fristow test, it's actually got all of these speech sounds in different placements. So up against all different consonants, up against all different vowels. So you can really get a good idea of when the speech sound isn't being produced correctly. Is it all the time? Is it only some of the time? Is it only in the middle of the word or the beginning of the word? So that'll help you figure out how you're going to treat your client. And then one of the ways that you can do this, that you can, figure this out, is just looking at percent of consonants correct. Vowels are really easy to get correct. It's kind of unusual that we have a problem with vowels. So you just want to look at the percent of consonants that they're getting correct. And that's an insight into how disordered the disorder actually is. I'm not going to go super into this. I mean, I love math and I love quantitative stuff, but we have such an accelerated class that I'm not going to go super deep into this. But qualitative methods kind of describe the behavior, and quantitative try to grab real values from tests. A lot of times SLP tests that you're running on somebody to see how well they're doing will use qualitative methods. Some newer ones are trying to use quantitative methods. In a perfect world, I would say that quantitative is always better. It has an objective measure, and it should be well constructed. But in the actual world, we have poor standardization of our tests, which means that some people can score really high or really low, and it doesn't actually mean that they have the same speech difficulties as someone else who scores the same as they do. So if you have somebody that scores really low and another person that scores really low, they might have completely different types of speech abilities even though they score low on the test. And the reason for that is it's just poor standardization. The tests haven't been through the ringer enough. And a qualitative method in that case is actually preferred. But that was in 1984. Do you think things are better now or the same? Well, unfortunately, they're mostly the same. So 20 years later, there's still poor standardization of quantitative methods. It's such a bummer. If we had better quantitative methods, you could really say, like, look, this kid, I know they're not quite at the delay area yet, but they're testing like someone who is delayed by 50% or something like that, if you have good quantitative measures. There are some good tests right now that have published reliability and validity measures, and so those can actually be used. You can find information about those on ASHA, and as every year goes by, more and more tests with good, valid measures come out. So we can start to rely a little bit more on quantitative data, though I would assume that there's always going to be room for qualitative data too. It gives kind of a context for the quantitative data. You can also see that those numbers are 6 years old. I mean, there hasn't been a paper that's looked into standardization across all SLP type exams in 6 years. So it could be that we're doing a lot better with our quantitative data. But like I said, there hasn't been research into that. So there are some good ones. Goldman-Fristo's one. And that should be used, but it's not ever really going to replace qualitative. Let's not even get into this slide. There's too much on this slide. It's a gross slide. Let's just end on this slide and we'll say we're done. Okay, so we have a guest lecture for the second group of lectures this week. It's Dr. Juliet Weinhold, who I work with a lot, and you may have taken some online classes with her. In fact, you might be in 310 with her right now. So she's going to talk to us about typical speech development. All right, so you have a quiz at the end of this week. Make sure you look at that. Your homework 1 is getting close to being due as well, so make sure you take a look at that. All right, I will talk to you soon.